What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Kicking It with Crowder, episode 16 tonight, guys. Like always, we will play a little bit of music, let everyone join the conversation, and then we'll get going, guys. Thank you so much for joining Kicking It with Crowder tonight, guys. Let's go. So who you guys like tonight? Florida, Oklahoma. I know Oklahoma's up 17-3. Who'd you guys like before the game started, guys? Let me know. We'll be kind of talking about this game throughout the show. Of course, we'll preview Alabama and Notre Dame, Ohio State, Clemson. We'll talk about Cincinnati, Georgia. We'll talk about all these games, guys, tonight. So thank you guys for joining. Share this, comment, like down below. Let's get more people in on it, and we'll go from there, guys. Let's go. You guys doing all right today? Y'all have a good Christmas? Who's going to be first to join? There we go. Right on cue. So Kyle Trask looks a little off right now. Florida definitely missing Kyle Pitts, man. He's a huge cog in that machine that makes this offense go. Also, Tony, of course, he made a lot of plays this year. Used him in a lot of different ways. So Dan Mullen's going to have to get creative. He's used Emory Jones a good bit tonight. The Heard County, Georgia native, close to LaGrange. Emory Jones looks to be the future at quarterback for Florida. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if they can get back in this football game. I had Oklahoma on my my college football mania pick'em. Also probably would have rolled with Oklahoma minus 6.5 or so. But have Oklahoma on the money line tonight. So we just need the Sooners to win. And we'll see what Kyle Trask does in his last game as a Florida Gator. Of course, he's announced already that he is foregoing next year. He could have came back if he wanted to, but he'll be gone next year. Guys, don't forget to comment. Don't forget to like down below. So more people can see this thing. We can get this out there. And thank you, guys. Season 2, Kicking It with Crowder, episode 19 will start here in just a second, guys. All right? Little Kid Cudi instrumental. All right. All right, guys. So, Kicking It with Crowder, guys, begins in 3, 2, 1, and welcome, everybody. What's up? Welcome to Kicking It with Crowder, episode 16, season 2. Thank you, guys. We got another jam-packed show to bring you all, bring all you lovely people tonight. What's up, Tony? Thanks for watching, man. Appreciate you. 2020 is almost over. 2021. What you gonna do? This year may have been bad. It was bad in a lot of ways, but you can't let it hold you down. Got to just keep moving, keep pushing through. I'm excited for 2021 to see what happens, guys. Tonight on Kicking It with Crowder, we preview Alabama, Notre Dame, of course, Clemson, and Ohio State. We'll talk about the college football playoff, what I expect to happen this weekend. I'll also give you my picks in both of those games. So we'll also talk about the matchup tonight, Florida, Oklahoma. Right now, like I said, 17-3, second quarter, 8:45 to play. Emory Jones in at quarterback for the Florida Gators. I'll give you updates throughout the show in the Sugar Bowl. All right, so I will also preview, guys, the Heisman Trophy. Basically comes down to 4 candidates: Devontae Smith, Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, who's playing right now, and Trevor Lawrence. So we'll break down whose chances, who's got the best chances tonight. To win that award, And Mac Jones, man, you got to give credit to Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, two guys who have been sitting on the bench for the last 3 years, come in this year and just put up prolific numbers. Guys, don't ever give up. Keep working, keep pushing, and you may get your shot one day. So the NFL playoff scenarios, guys. We'll talk about the NFL playoff scenarios going into Week 17. A lot to play for, especially in the AFC, where five teams are vying for 4 positions. So really excited stuff going into the last week of the NFL and what may happen in each conference. Also, MVP NFL. I think that Aaron Rodgers with his performance last Sunday night versus the Titans, and then Patrick Mahomes' performance against the Atlanta Falcons, was subpar. I think Aaron Rodgers kind of knocked the door down last week on the NFL MVP. Now Mahomes will not play this weekend. So I think it's Aaron Rodgers' MVP to lose, but we'll see what happens. I know the media and ESPN and stuff love some Patrick Mahomes, but they also love some Aaron Rodgers. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. But it's going to be a very good show, guys. I'm excited to bring it to you like always. I'll give you my locks for the weekend on 4 bowl games and then 2 college football playoff games. So 6 games in total. And we'll talk about that later on in the show like we always do, guys. So don't forget to hit that share button. Don't forget to hit that like button. All that. Don't forget where else you can find me, guys. Apple. I'm on Spotify. I'm on the iHeartRadio app. And I'm on Twitter. So after the live show, I go ahead and edit and post all my content on the internet, guys, so you can see it and pick it up wherever you go. All right. So with that being said, guys, I want to talk a little bit about the bowl games. What happened today? So today we had Wisconsin, Wake Forest. Wisconsin ends up beating Wake Forest in the Duke Mayo Bowl. Mayonnaise, you're a mayonnaise fan. You like that bowl game today. Wisconsin actually was down early, but ended up coming back and getting the win. So 42-28. And then tonight we have the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, Oklahoma versus Florida. Florida's down right now. They're driving. They're down 17-3 in the red zone. So we'll see what happens there. Then tomorrow, guys, New Year's Eve. If you're making plans this weekend, be safe. But December 31st, we got Tulsa versus Mississippi State in the Armed Forces Bowl. That's at Fort Worth. That's tomorrow at noon on ESPN. Then after that, at 2 o'clock on CBS, we have the Arizona Bowl, guys, in Ball State and San Jose State. So I'm sure a lot of you guys are looking forward to that Offer Pad Arizona Bowl. Sounds like a barn burner. I'm excited for it. And then at 4, you have your Liberty Bowl, West Virginia versus an Army team, coached by Jeff Monken, coming off a 9-2 season. Really excited to see Army possibly play some really good football tomorrow. And then, so those are the 3 games tomorrow, guys. Then on January 1st, it all gets started at noon on ESPN. You have Cincinnati versus Georgia in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium Peach Bowl. That should be a very good game. Then at 1 o'clock on ABC, you have Auburn and Northwestern. And then, so those are the bowl games on the 1st. And then at 4 o'clock, of course, the college football playoff, you have, I think, Ohio State, Clemson are going to play at 4 o'clock. And then you have Alabama and Notre Dame at 8 o'clock. So I'm really looking forward to all these matchups, all these great football matchups, college football. And I'm really excited for what these 2 games can come out to. Clemson, Ohio State, I think that's the game that everyone is looking forward to. And, in that game, I really think it comes down to what is Ohio State defense. What can they do against this Clemson offense, this high-powered Clemson offense? Trevor Lawrence, of course, 35-1 as a starter. Travis Etienne, over 4,000 yards rushing in his career. A running back who really reminds me a lot of Alvin Kamara. His pro comparison to me, I think Etienne's a guy who can go late first round, early second round, a guy who can catch the football out of the backfield, can do a lot of things for you. So if you're looking for a running back next year, Travis Etienne is a guy to look after. And then, Trevor Lawrence, and then he has E.J. Williams, a new receiver that's kind of from Central Phoenix City in Phoenix City, Alabama. E.J. Williams, a guy where he played with Justin Ross, and he came over. He's starting to make some plays. Armani Rogers. They also have another very, very talented wide receiver who I'm drawing a blank right now. He's been making plays the last 4 or 5 weeks. He's kind of become Trevor Lawrence's go-to receiver. So I think it's that offense versus Ohio State defense. What can Shaun Wade, what can Ryan Day and these guys draw up on the defensive side of the football to slow down this high-powered Clemson offense, who will be without Tony Elliott. Tony Elliott tested positive for COVID or was around somebody who tested positive for COVID. So he is out. He will not coach in this football game. He's one of the hottest names out right now in all of college football. He's getting NFL looks right now. He's also possibly getting some college football head coaching looks as well. He's done a great job with this team. And then on defense, Brent Venables, what can they do to stop Justin Fields and this Ohio State high-powered offense? I think they're going to take a page out of Northwestern's book. They're going to try to stop Justin Fields, make him uncomfortable, and they're going to dare Ohio State to run the football. Unfortunately for Northwestern, Trey Sermon was able to run all over Northwestern last week. They did control Fields, but at the same time, you have to be multi-faceted and be able to stop the run and also make Justin Fields uncomfortable and kind of put some pressure on him early, hit him a couple times. And last year they won, but Ohio State had the ball in that last drive, and they were able to confuse Justin Fields with the coverage they had. And then the receiver also fell down on that same play. So, or kind of went the wrong way on that same play. So I think this is going to be a good game. Ohio State, of course, they've only played 6 games. They haven't been tested as much as this Clemson team. I really think that overall in the game, head-to-head, I think it's going to be a pretty good close game, but I'm going to roll with Clemson and Trevor Lawrence in this one. Beginning of the season, I had Clemson and Trevor Lawrence going to the national championship. So I'm going to stick with my pick right there and go with Clemson straight up versus Ohio State. I think it should be a very, very good game. And Dabo Swinney, man, he's talked a lot. He's left Ohio State out of his top 10. And what's he going to do? And another thing is, Clemson has never beat Ohio State, guys, has never beat Clemson, which is just so odd to me. But 2 teams have been around for a long time. They've never beat them. I think they're 0-3 or 0-4 against them. So we'll see what happens. And then, of course, Trevor Lawrence, 35-1 as a starter. I mean, the guy just gets it done each and every week. Only loss coming to LSU last year in 2019. So I think it's going to take a lot for Clemson to get beat in this one. But we'll see what happens. We're rolling with Clemson over Ohio State in this game. And then Notre Dame, Alabama. A game that right now it sits at about 19.5, 20 points, depending on where you get them. Brian Kelly is going to have to, coach the game of his life. He's matched up with Alabama before. They matched up with Clemson a couple years ago in the playoff and got beat. They matched up with Alabama in 2012 and got kind of manhandled as well. So what will happen when these 2 teams face off against each other this year? Bama, 3 guys that are top 5 in the Heisman Trophy. Of course, you have Najee Harris, who has finished 5th in the Heisman Trophy, scoring 23 touchdowns this year, over 1,000 yards. I mean, it's unreal what he's able to do with the football in his hands around the goal line. He's unstoppable. He catches the ball out of the backfield as well. So, what's he going to be able to do against this Notre Dame front? He should get his yardage, but we'll see what happens. Note Alabama also 11-0 in the SEC right now, so they've been tested all year, and I think that this Alabama team is ready. Nick Saban's going to have his guys ready to play. Came off against a good team against Florida in a good matchup. They were able to score points on Florida all day. Can they stop Notre Dame? Can they stop Ian Book? Keep Ian Book inside the pocket. Ian Book is pretty dangerous when he makes plays outside the pocket with his legs. Clemson was kind of able to throw some exotic blitzes his way, kind of confuse him at the line of scrimmage. Can Alabama do the same thing with Dylan Moses and Patrick Surtain in this defense? So we'll see what happens. But can Notre Dame hang? I really don't think so. I don't think that Notre Dame can hang with Alabama, Tony. I know you said you think they may cover. I just don't see it. I don't see how Clemson, Notre Dame in the biggest game of the year this year, and they had already beat a Clemson team, and Clemson went out there and smoked them last week, and that was all I needed to see. I thought Notre Dame was a little bit better up front this year than they've been. I thought Ian Book makes plays with his legs enough to maybe give these teams some trouble, but this Alabama defense has improved. They were getting better and better each week until they had a little setback last week versus Florida. So I like Alabama huge in this game. I'm going Alabama straight up. I'll give you my against the spread pick later on in the show. But I just think that Alabama is they have too many 5 stars. They are just too deep at each position. Mac Jones is he's comfortable in that offense. Steve Sarkisian should get a lot of credit for the success of Mac Jones, a guy who sat behind Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa for the last 3 years. Learned a lot from those guys. But what's up, Collins? But he's also got Devontae Smith as well, Najee Harris. So I'm really excited to see what these two teams can do against Notre Dame. But I just think that they're just too talented of a group. Not only up front, running the football, passing the football, stopping the run. I mean, Alabama is just loaded this year. What up, man? And Nick Saban, I told you guys coming into the season, with what happened last year, Alabama missing the college football playoff, and in a pandemic-type season, it's going to take a talented coach, and I knew that Nick Saban was going to have his guys ready. He's got an advantage almost each and every week because they're not able to practice as much, but they're in the meeting room, and Nick Saban's as smart as it gets scheming for these games. So Alabama, my pick, Alabama at the beginning of the year to win the national championship versus Clemson is still alive. I'm going to continue to go with that. I'm going Alabama over Notre Dame, and I'm going Clemson over Ohio State, guys. So pick who do you guys like? I think it pretty much goes everyone likes Alabama to beat Notre Dame, but who do you like, Ohio State or Clemson, Collins? Who do you like in that game? Let me know down below. And excited for these matchups on New Year's Day. 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock matchups, and we'll see what happens. But excited to see what these games and what happens this weekend. So college football playoff, Najee Harris, Mac Jones, you got Travis Etienne. Ohio State. You're going with the Ohio State upset over the Clemson Tigers. Justin Fields, Sean Wade. There's so many guys who are going to be transitioning to the NFL after this year. And Justin Fields is good. I'm not saying he's not. He did struggle a little bit against the Northwestern Wildcats. So we'll see what he does against this Clemson Tigers and Brent Venables defense. So I think Justin Fields has a chance to be a top 5 quarterback. Can he go out there on Friday and get his money? So we'll see. So we'll see what happens. So Tony says Ohio State will cover. Colin's picking Ohio State to win. So I'm going Clemson Tigers on this one. I'm rolling with my pick at the beginning of the season. So also, guys, I want to talk a little bit about the Heisman Trophy. We talked about it last week, but I want to give you the favorite, the updated, that Devontae Smith's kind of creeping up there to Desmond Howard territory. And Desmond Howard, of course, was the last wide receiver to win the award in 1991. He scored 23 touchdowns in 11 games. Devontae Smith this year has played in 11 games. He scored 19 touchdowns. Howard had 900 receiving yards and 60 catches. Devontae Smith has 1,500 receiving yards and 98 catches. So he's just blowing Desmond Howard out of the water. And I think when Waddle went down with this injury, Devontae Smith knew that he had to step up and he had to make plays. And that's exactly what he's done. The connection that him and Mac Jones has is special. And I just think that it comes down to either Devontae Smith or Mac Jones. One of those two guys has to win it. They're on the best team. They have the best record. They went 11-0 in the SEC. Mac Jones is sitting at 77% passing percentage. Are you kidding me? These are video game type numbers this guy is putting up. He has fun out there. You never really hear anything about him. He doesn't talk that much. He just goes out there and plays. And I'm telling you, Mac Jones is going to play on Sundays. I would be surprised if he made the jump to the NFL next year. I think if he comes back next year, I just think that he could possibly, if he has another year like he does this year, I mean, there's a possibility that Mac Jones could go into the Joe Burrow type conversation, maybe jump in that top 5 category after a super stellar season after he sat behind Tua and Jalen Hurts for the last 3 years. And then Kyle Trask. Kyle Trask accounted for 43 touchdowns in the SEC, 5 400-yard games. I mean, the guy just put up numbers rushing. He's a leader. He did lose 3 games this year, but at the same time, this is kind of an individual award. I mean, the team it does matter what your team did. Don't get me wrong, but Kyle Trask has to be in the conversation. My order right now, I got Devontae Smith 1. If I was voting for the Heisman, I'd put Mac Jones 2, Kyle Trask 3, and then Trevor Lawrence 4. And no knocks to Trevor Lawrence. He's had a great season, put up stellar numbers, almost 3,000 yards passing, I think 30 or so touchdowns combined. But the thing for him was he missed 2 games, and if he was able to play in that Notre Dame game, and they were maybe able to win, and he has that record at 35-1, and Clemson's right up there, and they're undefeated. Maybe he has a chance, but I think this year, Devontae Smith has just kind of stolen the show the last 4 to 5 weeks. That the punt return against Arkansas. Also, he had like 3 touchdowns in that game as well. I mean, the plays he makes, he made a bunch of plays against LSU. He made plays against Georgia. He just made plays all year. He's a playmaker. And if Devontae Smith doesn't win, let's just call the Heisman Trophy a quarterback trophy. Let's just not, because I'm telling you, Devontae Smith's the best player in college football this year. Not saying he's going to go ahead of Trevor Lawrence in the draft or anything like that. But this year, Devontae Smith is by far the most electric, the best college football player in America. And frankly, on Friday, when he makes some plays against Notre Dame, I hope he strikes a pose. I hope he does it. I hope he takes one back to the house on a punt return, maybe 200 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. I mean, if he does that, I mean, I know they've already kind of voted for the award and it'll be announced in January, but man, just give him the trophy if that happens tomorrow. So we'll see. I mean, on Friday, we'll see what happens, guys. But Devontae Smith has earned every opportunity to have his name attached to the Heisman Trophy and he's a strong candidate. Him or Mac Jones. I think Alabama gets their next Heisman Trophy candidate. Right now, Devontae Smith's like a 1-2 favorite right now. I mean, 2-1. I'm sorry. So we'll see what happens. But I'm really excited for Mac Jones. Really excited for Devontae Smith. I know Nick Saban is happy as well. So moving on, I want to move on a little bit to the NFL. And with the NFL, guys, Week 17, a lot of teams are still playing for something. Some teams, guys, are kind of they're done. So we'll see what happens right here. I got all the playoff scenarios kind of pulled up, and we'll discuss them right now. So in the NFL, guys, playoff scenarios heading into Week 16, the Kansas City Chiefs, guys, they've already clinched the number 1 seed in the AFC. So Patrick Mahomes, Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Andy Reid, they can relax going into Week 17. They don't have too much to play for. Chad Henne will start this weekend for the Chiefs. You will not see any Patrick Mahomes this weekend. The Buffalo Bills, guys, they have a big game versus the Dolphins, and they still have a lot to play for. Right now, they sit currently as the number 2 seed over the Pittsburgh Steelers. They own the head-to-head matchup. So if they win this weekend versus the Dolphins, they are the number 2 seed. Of course, the number 2 seed does not get that bye like they used to. The number 2 seed now has to play the number 7 seed. Okay, so it's a little bit different than it's been in years past. 2 will play 7, 6 will play 3, 4 will play 5, and then the Chiefs get the bye. So the Chiefs are already getting the bye. The Steelers, guys, are the 3 seed, but they're going to sit some of their guys, so they're really not too worried if they get the 2 or the 3. If they win and the Bills lose, then they will jump up to the number 2 seed. But here's where it gets interesting in the NFL. These Steelers, guys, the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. So it gets pretty easy for the Titans, guys, okay? So if the Titans win, let me pull it up. Tennessee Titans, guys, they've clinched the AFC South division title with a Tennessee win. They win, they are the AFC South champs, and they'll sit right there at the 4 seed, okay? So then it goes to the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins right now sit at the number 5 seed. Miami clinches a playoff berth with either a Miami win, a Baltimore loss, a Cleveland loss, or an Indianapolis loss. So if any of those other teams lose and Miami wins, they're in. They're in if they win. They're in. If any of those other teams lose, Miami would still get in. So their playoff fate is kind of in their own hands. I like Tua, what he's been able to do this year, but I think Ryan Fitzpatrick may be a better answer right now. I know Brian Flores has said he's going to go with Tua and maybe have Ryan Fitzpatrick ready on like a closer type role. I'm not sure if that's the right decision, but we'll see what happens. But right now, the Miami Dolphins are sitting at the number 5 seed right now. And then you go to the Baltimore Ravens, guys. The Baltimore Ravens, pretty simple. They win, they're in, okay? If they don't win, then a Cleveland loss or an Indianapolis loss would get Baltimore in. So, you know, I don't really like putting it on other teams. You know, if Baltimore wins this weekend, they will be in, and I expect that to happen. They've gotten hot at the right time. Look out for this Baltimore team in the playoffs. I'm telling you, they will be ready. Cleveland Browns, guys, if Cleveland wins, they are in. If they do not win and Indianapolis loses, they are in. So basically, if the Titans win, they're the 4 seed, they're in. If the Dolphins win, they're in. If Ravens win, they're in. If Browns win, they are in. So who will be the team left out? Indianapolis would have to win and Tennessee lose to clinch the division. If Indianapolis wins and everyone else wins, they are out. So they need some help. They need to either need a Baltimore loss or tie, a Cleveland loss or tie, or a Dolphins loss or tie. I know this is a lot of stuff, but basically, if every team wins, if all the teams in the playoff race win, the Indianapolis Colts are out. If you lose and the Colts win, that other team is booted out. That's basically all you need to know in the AFC. So you basically have 5 teams vying for 4 playoff spots. And boy, I'm really excited. So you got Titans, Colts, Ravens, Browns, and the Dolphins. So those are the 5 teams vying for the 4 playoff spots in the AFC. In the NFC, let's go ahead and get this pulled up right here. In the NFC, guys, the Green Bay Packers have clinched. They're the number 1 seed right now. If they beat the Packers, if they beat the Bears this week, they're in the playoff. They're the number 1 seed no matter what. If the Saints win and the Packers lose, the Saints are now the number 1 team. If the Saints and the Packers lose, the Seahawks are the number 1 seed. So it looks right now that the Packers will be the 1 seed, and we'll see probably the Saints at the 2, Seahawks at the 3, and then in the 4 seed, you're going to get the... This is a mess, of course. We know the Dallas Cowboys, they win and Washington loses, they're in. So Dallas could get in. Washington has the easiest way to get in. If Washington football team wins, they are in. If Dallas wins and Washington loses, Dallas is in. If Dallas loses and Washington loses and the Giants beat the Cowboys, they are in. So I'm talking about the NFC East is crazier than ever. If the Washington and Dallas both lose and the Giants win, they will be a 6-10 team in the playoffs. So unreal stuff coming out of these playoff scenarios. It's going to be one of those 3 teams with the 4 spot and the number 1 wild card team, the 5 seed, which right now would be the Bucks. They would go play that team. So you really want to be, if you don't win your division, you want to be that top wild card spot because you're going to get to play an NFC East team. And then in the 6 and 7 spot, guys, so what we got here is the Cardinals. If Arizona wins, they're in. If Chicago wins, they're in. Also, the Rams now, the LA Rams have to win and Chicago lose to get in. The Rams guys can beat the Arizona Cardinals, then the Arizona Cardinals are out. So, I mean, it's just crazy stuff coming out of the NFL. And the Rams guys will be without Jared Goff versus the Cardinals. So, I probably like the Cardinals to get in that playoff spot. Then you got the Bucks. And then, I mean, it's just absolutely craziness. And then the Chicago Bears also have a chance to get in as well. If the Bears lose, then they're out. So, I mean, unbelievable stuff coming out of the NFC. Chicago Bears, Green Bay Sunday. Chicago clinches a playoff berth with Chicago win, Arizona loss, or Chicago tie and Arizona tie. So, craziness. If I had to pick, I'm probably going Rams are out because they're backup quarterback. So I'll go Cardinals, Bears, and Bucks get in the wild card spots. I'll say that Dallas gets in the 4 spot in the NFC East. And then you have the Seahawks at 3, Saints at 2, Packers at 1. So that's how my NFL playoff picture kind of lines up. Those are my picks to kind of see what happens this week, and we'll go from there, guys. So hey, thank you guys so much for watching Kicking It with Crowder. Right now, if you're watching the Cotton Bowl right now, it's 24-13 Oklahoma over Florida Gators with 2 minutes left in the second quarter, about to hit halftime soon. So if you're still watching the game, guys, it should be a good second half. Also, a lot of college basketball on, NBA on as well. So we'll see what happens. So, guys, we always talk about my picks. We'll get into my picks, and we'll talk about my picks from last week. Then we'll get into my picks from this week. Guys, last week I started off hot. 2-0 to start the week. I had the Saints -6.5 over Vikings. They dominate that game. Also had Buffalo -4 over Marshall. They dominate that game, win by a touchdown. So those are my 2 wins to start the week. So I'm sitting pretty. Going into last week, I was 40-37-1. So with the 2 victories, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm 42-37-1. I'm right there. I'm ready to roll. What do you know? I lose the next 4 games. So I go 2-4 last week. Now I'm 42-41-1. So I have picked 80 some odd games right now, and I'm still right above 500 on the against the spread picks. Of course, these are not just straight up picks, guys. These are against the spread picks. So I had Cardinals -4.5 of the 49ers. They lose. I had Dolphins -2.5 over the Raiders. The Dolphins win by 1. Western Kentucky loses pretty bad at Georgia State. I had them +4. And then Coastal, I should have took Liberty. I knew better. -6.5. I had Coastal Carolina -6.5. Should have took Liberty +6.5. But, hindsight's 2020. It was a dumb pick on my end. 42-41 going into the bowl season. So I have these 6 games. They don't have the national championship game. And I'll probably pick a few NFL games as well. So I have probably around 10 picks left. So I sit at 42-41-1. I need me a 6-0 week right here, guys. So let's go ahead and get started with tomorrow's games, okay? Tulsa -1.5 over Mississippi State. Tulsa -1.5 over Mississippi State. I really like this Tulsa team. This Tulsa team battled with Cincinnati last week. Also, I've watched Tulsa play a few games. I really like Tulsa, their attitude, the way their defense plays, their offense. They have a nice quarterback who's played a lot of college football games. Going against a 3-7 Mississippi State team. Mississippi State really didn't deserve to be in a bowl game, but they get in. I think this Tulsa team is going to be motivated to get to 7 wins. They played Cincinnati pretty close last week as well. So I'll go Tulsa -1.5 over Mississippi State. Followed the next game tomorrow, guys. Jeff Monken and the Army football team heads to the Liberty Bowl to play West Virginia. Liberty Bowl, normally a lot of points being scored, a high-scoring game. Army normally controls the clock, low-scoring games. I think the Army-Navy over-under has hit under like 15 straight years. So Army, they like to control the clock. They run a lot of clock. They do not throw a lot of passes. They control the game. Army's good on defense this year. West Virginia, 5-4. Really a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type team. You really never know what you're going to get out of Neil Brown's team. The West Virginia Mountaineers. I like Army in this one. Army is 9-2, but they are underdogs in this game. Plus 7 points. I'm laying the 7 with Jeff Monken and this Army team. I actually like Army to win this game 31-30. So I'm going Army plus 7 over West Virginia. Next, we move on to Iowa State, Oregon. Oregon, of course, won the Pac-12. Iowa State loses at the very end of the Big 12 championship versus Oklahoma. Iowa State, of course, led by the coach Matt Campbell, Brock Purdy, the quarterback. Brock Purdy has a decision to make. He could probably go to the NFL, maybe be a 4th, 5th round draft pick, or he can come back for that one extra year that he's been given and really shoot up some draft boards. So I think Brock Purdy has a lot to play for against Oregon. I'm laying the 3.5 over the Oregon Ducks. So I really like the Cyclones of Matt Campbell's team versus Oregon straight up, and also with the spread minus 3.5. Cincinnati, again. Luke Fickell and this Cincinnati program, they have done great. They have made great strides over the last 3 years. Luke Fickell he's got the Ritter at quarterback. He's also got a couple playmakers, 2 running backs on offense, a couple receivers as well. His defense has really played well. Took Cincinnati this year. It's 5-1 betting with Cincinnati, so I really like pulling with the Bearcats. This UGA team, man, they're going to be out a lot of players. I know Monty Rice is out. Jermaine Johnson's transferred. Some other guys sitting out. I mean, Tyson Campbell's out. They're missing probably 5, 6, 7 guys total. And JT Daniels, what is he able to do? What is he able to bring the momentum from that he had the last 4 games? Is he able to bring this into the bowl game? JT Daniels has a big decision. Does he come back to UGA for another year? Does he transfer and go somewhere else? Does he go pro in the NFL draft? So a lot of stuff for JT Daniels to think about. But I really think this is more about Cincinnati. Cincinnati's going to keep it close. They're playing for a lot of an undefeated season. You saw what UCF did a few years ago after they went undefeated. They claimed a national championship. Will Cincinnati do the same? I'm not sure. But I really like this Cincinnati team at plus 7 over UGA. I'm rolling with the Cincinnati Bearcats. I think it's going to be a close game overall. I'll take UGA by a field goal, but Cincinnati in the game plus 7 over UGA. All right, guys, and then we move on to the college football playoff. My last 2 picks heading into the college football playoff. This is tough for me because I could lean either way on this one. Ohio State, Clemson. You got the Clemson Tigers favored at minus 6.5 over the Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State is a good team, but last week what I saw against Northwestern did scare me a little bit. Also, they had a scare earlier in the year versus an Indiana team. I just think this Trevor Lawrence-led team, Dabo Swinney and this team, they are hungry. They do not want to lose that record against Ohio State, being 3-4-0 versus the Ohio State all time. Clemson's never lost to Ohio State. I think that Justin Fields is going to put up some numbers. I think that, they're going to have to at least score 30 if they want to beat Clemson, and I just don't think they do. I will take Clemson 28-20 over the Ohio State Buckeyes, and of course Clemson covers that spread, that minus 6.5. So I wanted to maybe roll with the points right here, but I just can't do it. If I get fooled Friday, I get fooled. But I'm taking Clemson minus 6.5 over Ohio State. I just think they're a better, more prepared football team. They played more. They're more battle tested. And then just Ohio State can't get over that hump at Dabo Swinney and Clemson. And then in the last game of the college football season, I think the college football bowl season, Alabama minus 19.5 over Notre Dame and Brian Kelly. I really like this spread a lot. I took Notre Dame. I was foolish and took the points with Notre Dame over Clemson last week. I will not be fooled again. I am taking Alabama. I am pounding. I will put everything I have in my power on Bama minus 19.5. That's how good I feel about Bama over Notre Dame. I think they start to blow it open early. I think they get a 14-point lead in the first quarter, and they never look back. Najee Harris, Mac Jones, and Devontae Smith, three-headed monster that Alabama throws out there. They're something serious, and Notre Dame's defense is about to find out. They had a lot of trouble with Clemson last week. Wait till they line up against Alabama and this Nick Saban team. This Nick Saban team is hungry. I've been saying it all year. Alabama versus Clemson in the national championship. It looks like we may get that. And, man, I'm really looking forward to these matchups and seeing how some of the things I've talked about on this show translate this weekend in college football. So those are my picks, guys. I'll run it by one more time. Of course, I'm 42-41-1, one game above 500 right now. So I need me a 5-1, 6-0 type week, and I'm going Tulsa minus 1.5 over Mississippi State, Army plus 7 over West Virginia, Iowa State minus 3.5 over Oregon, Cincinnati plus 7 over UGA, Clemson minus 6.5 over Ohio State, and Alabama minus 19.5 over Notre Dame. So those are my picks, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it, Tony. Guys, don't forget to, if you watch this after the fact or listen to it on Apple, Spotify, guys, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit a rating and like, share, comment, do all that stuff down below, guys. So thank y'all so much. I really enjoyed it. I hope y'all enjoy the second half of this Cotton Bowl Classic with Oklahoma and Florida. Oklahoma 31, Florida 13 right now, so Oklahoma Sooners got the big lead. We'll see what happens in the second half, guys. But, hey, it's been a great college football season. Let's get ready for Week 17 in the NFL. And, of course, we'll be back next weekend to preview the national championship, make those picks, and make maybe some NFL picks as well, guys. So until next week, guys, I'll see you then. Thanks for kicking it with Crowder. Let's go.